Hi guys, I'm Jim and welcome to Six String Studies. Today we've got a question from Gary who asks, what do we look for when buying a new guitar? Now this could be your first guitar, or it could be, if you're a more experienced player, just another guitar to add to your collection. But the points I'm going to make here are relevant to both scenarios. So the first thing that's going to attract your attention when you walk into a shop, and I do suggest you actually go into a shop rather than buying online, is what the guitar looks like. If it looks cool, you're going to go and try it. If it's pretty uninspiring looking, you're going to leave it on the shelf. This is very important, but it is by no means the most important thing when looking at buying a new instrument. The first thing I would say is don't go too cheap. If you see a starter pack for about £150, or maybe that's, $200, something like that, it's probably too cheap. And while you will get everything you need to get you playing, in the end it will do you a disservice because it will hamper your playing, because the instrument isn't built to a great standard. They're built to a price, all right? So I would suggest you spend anywhere between £200 and £250 for your first guitar. It'll last the test of time. It'll do you for at least the first few years before you want to upgrade. Now, you may want to upgrade just because you want to upgrade, and guitar players do collect guitars, but you won't actually need to. So you're in the shop and you've decided that you like maybe one or two guitars, or maybe even more than that, and you need to try at least two or three instruments while you're there, so you can see, preferably of the same model, so that you can see which one performs the best for you or which one you prefer, just for feel. The next thing you're going to look at is you're going to play all the notes. Now, you may be a beginner guitarist, and that doesn't matter. You could get somebody in the shop to do it for you. You're just going to play every single note on every single fret on all six strings. This is to see if there's any buzzes or any choke points. If that's the case, the guitar may need setting up, or it might just be a second-hand instrument, which, while it may be cheap, probably won't do a very good job for you, and it'll probably stop you playing because you'll blame yourself. You'll think it's you, and it might actually be the instrument. Okay, the next thing you're going to look at is what we call the action. Now, the action is the distance between the strings and the actual fretboard. If you've got an action which is really high, i.e. there is a lot of gap between the strings and the fretboard, playing chords, scales, anything at all, tunes, is going to be almost impossible, or at least very, very difficult. If the action's too low, equally, you won't be able to play anything because you won't be able to fret anything, or just fret out. So you need something somewhere in between. So if you just look at these strings at this stage in your playing, look at the strings and against the side, to the side of the neck. If it feels like you can get, a finger in there, that's way too high. If you can't even get a coin in between the strings and the fretboard, it's too low. So somewhere in between. The next thing that I would look at would be the tuning pegs. Just give them an inspection, and by that I mean turn them. Do they turn easily, i.e. do they turn smoothly, or are they really, really stiff? Or are they too loose? They should be easy to turn, but they offer some resistance to you. Okay, that's an indication that the tuning is not going to slip every time you play a simple chord or do a simple scale or anything like that. Okay, so there are lots of good makes out there. Some tuning peg sets will cost you several £100 or several $100. You don't need to go to that degree if it's your first instrument, and if it's a better quality instrument, they'll probably have these on them anyway. Okay, but you just want to make sure they're fluid. They're fluid in their movement. Okay, moving on, we're going to look at the bridge now. So this is the bit where the strings come out of on the tail end of the body of the instrument. Okay. On an acoustic guitar, especially if it's second-hand, you need to check this to make sure that it isn't lifted or the glue has come slightly unglued. If it has, that's an indication that the top of the guitar, what we call the table, may be warped. On the electric guitar, you'll find that the bridge sometimes is slightly raised, and that's just the way that the instrument is set up, and that's fine. If it's really raised, and it's obviously at a strange angle, or if it's too low, this will affect your playing as well. So you must make sure that that is sorted out before you buy it. Also, when buying an electric, you should check the volume and tone pots and all the pickup selector switches. So check all the pickups, make sure they're all working. When you turn the volume or the tone pot up or down, does it produce a scratching noise? If so, it probably means it's a dirty pot. Now, what you can do if this is the case is turn them very quickly from 0 to 10 repeatedly. This will sometimes get rid of the dirt, but not always. It could be a bigger problem than that. Also, you should check the jack socket where the lead goes into the electric guitar. So if it's a snug fit, so a tight fit, that's a good thing. If it's too loose, it probably means that the nuts are loose either inside or on the outside, and they may have to be tightened up because this can affect the signal. Okay, moving on, we need to discuss the woods. What woods are used on the guitar? So if it's your first guitar and it's about $200, $250, something like that, the woods are not going to be aged. They're not going to be great woods, okay, because it's built to that price. But on definitely the acoustic guitar, you want to make sure it's at least got what we call a solid top. So real wood on top. The back and the sides will probably be a laminate or composite, something like that. On the electric, you're probably going to get something like alder or something like that, and that's fine to get you going. And lastly, you want to have just a quick visual inspection across the whole instrument to make sure there are no dinks or scratches on it. For example, if you were going to buy a new car, would you buy one with a dent in it? Probably not. If you're buying a second-hand car, you might let that go. So just to recap, think about the price, make sure it's not too cheap. The looks, does it look cool? Do all the notes play without buzzes? Is the action good? Is it not too high, not too low? Are the tuning pegs fluid? Is the bridge stable? Is it lifted or has it come unglued? Are the volume and tone pots clean? Are they producing any scratching sounds? Is the jack socket a tight fit to the lead? What woods are used on the instrument? And lastly, your visual inspection. Has it picked up any dinks or any scratches? And lastly, when you buy a guitar from a shop, they should normally offer you a deal on a free gig bag or some strings, some picks or lead or something like that. If they don't, just nudge them, ask them. They might say no, but if you don't ask, you don't get. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you found the video informative. If you did, give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. I'll also leave a link in the description below for Six String Studies Book 1, which is totally free. It's about 100 pages, and it will really help if you're a new player. That's it. Take care and see you next time.